What if I told you that the 40-hour work week, that cornerstone of modern life, was built on a lie? We think of it as a hard-won victory for workers, a symbol of progress. But the real story is far more complex, and frankly, a bit unsettling. It's a tale of radical ideas, corporate strategy, and a forgotten vision for a future that never was. Let's rewind to the late 18th century. The Industrial Revolution is roaring to life. Factories are sprouting up everywhere, and for the people flocking to them, life is brutal. We're talking 10 to 16-hour days, 6 or even 7 days a week. There were no weekends, no holidays, just endless, grueling labor. Children as young as 5 were working alongside adults in dangerous conditions. It was a nightmare. But from this darkness, a radical idea began to shine. In 1817, a Welsh textile mill owner named Robert Owen coined a revolutionary slogan: 8 hours labor, 8 hours recreation, 8 hours rest. Imagine how insane that must have sounded at the time. Owen wasn't just a dreamer. He was a social reformer. He implemented shorter workdays in his own mills, provided schooling for children, and proved that treating workers humanely could still be profitable. Owen's idea caught fire. Across the world, labor movements began to organize around the demand for an 8-hour day. This wasn't just about getting a bit more sleep. It was a fight for their very humanity. They argued that long hours were not only physically and mentally destructive, but also a form of enslavement that prevented them from being educated citizens, good family members, and active participants in their communities. The fight was long and often violent. Think of the Haymarket Affair in Chicago in 1886, where a peaceful rally for an 8-hour day ended in a deadly bombing and a major setback for the labor movement. These people were literally dying for the weekend we now take for granted. But here's where the story takes a surprising turn. While workers were fighting and dying for shorter hours, one of the most influential figures in modern industry was coming to the same conclusion, but for a very different reason. That man was Henry Ford. In 1914, Ford did something that shocked the industrial world. He more than doubled the average wage at his factories to $5 a day and cut the workday from 9 hours to 8. People thought he was crazy. The Wall Street Journal called his plan an economic crime. But Ford wasn't a philanthropist. He was a brilliant, ruthless businessman. He had done the math. Ford realized 2 things. First, shorter hours and higher pay reduced employee turnover, which was incredibly costly. Training new workers was expensive, and tired, unhappy employees were less productive and more likely to make mistakes on the assembly line. His new policy made his workers fiercely loyal and incredibly efficient. Production soared. But here's the second part, the real genius of his plan. Ford understood that if he wanted to sell millions of cars, he needed a population of consumers who had both the money to buy them and the free time to use them. By creating the 8-hour day and the weekend, Ford wasn't just building cars. He was building a consumer class. He famously said, "Leisure is an indispensable ingredient in a growing consumer market because working people need to have enough free time to find uses for consumer products, including automobiles." He essentially turned his workers into his customers. The weekend became a time for driving, for shopping, for consuming. The 40-hour work week wasn't just a victory for labor. It was a cornerstone of modern consumer capitalism, engineered by one of its greatest pioneers. So the 40-hour week became the standard. In 1938, the U.S. government cemented it into law with the Fair Labor Standards Act. It seemed like the story should end there, a happy compromise between labor and capital. But it doesn't. Because the original visionaries of the shorter work week saw the 8-hour day not as an end goal, but as a stepping stone. Think about it. Leading economists and thinkers of the time, like John Maynard Keynes, predicted that with advancements in technology and productivity, by the year 2030, we would only need to work about 15 hours a week. The goal wasn't just to create more time to consume. It was to create more time for self-improvement, for family, for community, for art, for life itself. They believed technology should serve humanity by freeing us from toil, not by simply creating new ways to work or shop. So what happened? Why are many of us working more than ever, tethered to our jobs by smartphones 24/7? Productivity has skyrocketed since the 1940s. We can produce in a few hours what used to take a full week. Yet, the 40-hour standard remains stubbornly in place. In fact, workism, the belief that work is not just a means to an end, but the very center of our identity and life, as purpose has become a dominant cultural force. The promise of technology was leisure, but the reality has been an endless cycle of producing and consuming. The lie of the 40-hour work week isn't that it was a bad idea. It was a monumental step forward. The lie is that it was the final destination. It was supposed to be a waypoint on the road to a more liberated, leisure-filled future. But we got stuck. We forgot the original dream. Instead of asking how technology can help us work less, we ask how it can help us work more efficiently. We traded the vision of a 15-hour work week for 2-day shipping. Today, conversations about a 4-day work week and shorter hours are re-emerging, and companies that are trying it are seeing incredible results. Higher productivity, happier employees, and better business outcomes. It feels like we are finally waking up and questioning this century-old system. We are starting to remember the original dream of Robert Owen and the early labor pioneers. The story of the 40-hour work week is a powerful reminder that the way we work is not a law of nature. It's a choice. It was designed and it can be redesigned. The question for us now is, what future do we want to design? Do we want a future where we live to work, or one where we work to live? The next chapter is ours to write. Thanks for watching. If this story made you think, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the ideas that shape our world. See you in the next video.